In the watch world of today, you can have absolutely great original design watches for less than $500. If you don't believe me, go ahead and check the 300 plus videos that I've made in this channel. So how do you go ahead and distinguish yourself in these harder and harder markets? Well, how about making a watch that has maybe the most interesting dial of the year for less than $200? Enter the WM226. And although it has one of the best dial, if not the best dial that I have seen this year, the amazing dial is not actually the whole story about this watch. Just as a side note, let me tell you that the company Welly Merc or WM Watches calls these the Glacier dials or Glacier, depending on where you live. And you have three colors actually. You have this amazingly beautiful blue dial, but you also have a Bordeaux dial and a purple dial that are, according to me, much less interesting. This is of course the one to go for and is the one towards which most people are going to gravitate. And let's focus of course about the dial first. You have here all the elements of a Glacier with that ice blue color, so beautiful and so changing depending on how the light hits it. But not only that, you also have a fully 3D dial with all of those simulated cracked parts going at different levels, which makes that this dial is pretty much alive when the light hits it. And it goes from almost white to pretty much dark blue depending on how the light hits it. I very much enjoy sky blue, ice blue dials. I am actually wearing my Citizen Zenshin to that effect, but this dial is something else. You may not be an absolute fan of it. It might be a little bit too much in your face. You will not go unnoticed with this watch on, let me tell you that. I wear watches from $10,000 to $12,000 and pretty much nobody comments about my watches. But the first time I put this watch on, a colleague of mine tells me, "Oh, what is that watch? You have never worn that before. It looks really special." That is the effect you get with this watch. People do notice it, and you might think that is a good thing, or maybe that is not such a good thing. In any case, this watch will not leave other people, and more especially yourself, indifferent. Once again, you might love it, or you might think it is just a little bit too much. Be aware of that. That is why I'm going to be leaving you many photos in movement, especially of the dial, wrist shots, pocket shots, so you can see for yourself what to expect of this dial in movement, in motion, because that is really important before choosing this watch. The rest of the watch is a little bit of a mixed bag, let's say. There's some good, there's some bad. Let's start by the good. The finishing is actually quite refined, and let's start by the elements on the dial. Notice those rectangular indices. They are applied and polished, which gives it quite nice reflections as well. The logo, the WM at 12, is also applied, and that is the only attempted letters that you have on this watch. No branding, no depth specs, no automatic, nothing. And that is wonderful. Just let the beautiful dial breathe. At 6, you have the date, and it is color matched, which would be great on most people's books. However, take a look at this. Does it really work? I am not sure. Almost would have preferred it not to be color matched, and I believe that is the first time I say this, but I don't know why. I don't think the color matching here works perfectly. You may totally think otherwise, and that is perfect, but for me, I almost would have preferred a white date wheel in here. The hands are quite complex, with two kinds of finishings. Polished finishing on the outer parts, brushed on the inner, and of course a little bit of lume in there, because this is, after all, a Gara watch. Let's go to the case, let's go to the finishing of this watch, and here it is quite intricate. Watches are getting better and better at finishing, and here you've got three sorts of different finishings in the bezel, starting by a circular brushing in the first part, followed by a lip with a brushed surface, and ending with a brushed part where it will meet the case. The crystal is a top hat sapphire crystal that has some really good anti-reflective coating, and that is wonderful once again to let you see the beauty of this watch. The upper part is brushed as well, and you've got a polished chamfer running through the watch and separating the front and the sides, the side part being a horizontal brushing as well, and you even have a lower part which is polished. So 4 different alternating surfaces of polishing and brushing on the case of this watch, which is quite complex and quite good. If you flip the watch, you see nothing at all. Maybe we would have liked to see some specs, especially because you do not have any on the face of the watch, but well, once you know you've got 100 meters of water resistance, an NH35 in here, and sapphire crystal, well, you've pretty much known everything. And yes, you do have the NH35 in here, so I'm almost glad that it didn't put a transparent case back. But hold on, we have not talked about dimensions, and this is going to be your classic Gara dimensions. With 39.2 millimeters in diameter, let's call it 39, 12.4 millimeters in height, which is not that bad for 100 meters of water resistance, and that top hat sapphire crystal, you've got a log-to-log of 45.5, and you've got an end link to end link of 51.5. It all makes for a watch that is really wearable. It's okay, I just wished they hadn't put those male end links, because it does make the watch wear bigger. You could go ahead and pull out the argument that you can replace the bracelet quite easily with any 20mm strap, but once again, in these Gara watches, I want my bracelet to be quite good. So is the bracelet good? Well, you can see that it is your classic 3-link oyster. Push pins here, no screws. It is quite decent, quite well finished. I'm not gonna give it a hard time. The clasp is quite alright, also quite well finished as well, with 5 levels of micro adjust, so that is quite okay in my book as well. Where I'm gonna criticize more is in the release mechanism. Those double buttons are not something you see quite often, but they work okay. They sometimes get a little bit stuck. They're not the best, but they do the job in any case. The crown is signed, and it is a screw down crown, helping with the 100 meters of water resistance. So besides from the almost eccentric and beautiful dial, the rest is just okay with this watch. And for that you pay, however, $200. $200. In terms of specs, some other companies are offering you more for these. For that price you have some Chronos with much better bracelets and clasps, sometimes with on-the-fly adjustments and screw links, sometimes better movements, notably the PT5000, but more interesting dials? No, not yet. You would have to go to the San Martin SN0144 or to other more expensive watches to get a dial that is this interesting and this well made, let's be honest here. I am, however, disappointed by the poor lume and once again by so-so opening mechanism of the clasp. But besides from that, if you absolutely love the watch, know that you will not be disappointed by the dial. It is exactly, or pretty much exactly, what you see in the pictures. And I do believe that it is one of the, if not the most interesting dial from an entry-level watch that at least I have seen or reviewed this year. It is actually that good. But if nice dials is your thing, I am sure that you will absolutely love either this Citizen with that blue bark dial, and I'm going to leave you the full review here, or the San Martin SN0144 that I'm going to leave you right here. Thanks again, I'll be seeing you right away in those videos.